As part of the 2015-16 Elks of Canada Strategic Plan, direction was given by the 4 Planning Committee and approved by the Grand Executive to charge the Grand Lodge Executive Director with the task of developing a culture plan. The plan would encompass an overall change management process for the Elks of Canada to follow for the foreseeable future, which would help the Order move towards a more modern way of operating, while maintaining the rich heritage and legacy of the Elks over the last 100 years. When we looked at developing a culture change plan, we looked at change models that may work for the Elks. There are a number of change models that exist, but the model that we have chosen to implement is one that is easily understood and focuses on the implementation of culture change as a key outcome. The model that we chose evaluated 13,756 different organizations seeking to change their organizational culture. Of those, 179 were identified as having a high level of success of embedding change in their organizational culture and making it stick. The practices that supported successful change integration included 2 key dimensions. The first dimension is around intent. What are you trying to accomplish? Practices were compared, and there appeared to be 2 different cultural implementation goals which we believe are consistent with the Elks of Canada, and they are fulfillment and innovation. As we seek to evolve the organization into a more modern society, we, as well as other organizations like ours, face tension between ensuring that we continue to meet the existing needs and accomplishments of the Order through fulfillment, and making way for changes that will allow the organization to become sustainable for the future through innovation. These 2 goals form the vertical axis of the framework. The second dimension is around approach, or how are you going to go about doing this? There are 2 different ways of looking at the approach. The first is through informal approaches that aim to establish and reinforce shared values and shared ways of doing things that align the organization within its journey for change. This is often accomplished through discussion, through experiences, and by modeling desired behaviors. Formal approaches to shaping organizational culture include trying to guide behavior through the rules, systems, and procedures. The idea is to arrange and organize values and behaviors that have developed informally. This is often accomplished by generating documents and texts, such as the Elks of Canada Constitution, Lodge Bylaws, and the Book of Rituals. Putting the model together. When you overlay the organizational intent and the approach that needs to be taken, what you end up with is a series of 4 quadrants that focus on 4 categories of activities capable of instilling change. They are clarifying expectations, instilling capacity for change, building momentum for change, and fostering commitment. Based on these findings and the connections to our need for a cultural change model, it is our suggestion that we establish a long-term way of thinking about change that includes activity in each of these 4 areas of operation to ensure that the change we wish to see in the Elks of Canada has the greatest chance of organizational success. When we take the new change model and overlap it with the existing practices and actions that we are currently within the Elks strategic plan, we can see that we currently have 18 initiatives or activities in the fostering commitment for change quadrant, 2 in the quadrant that focuses on instilling capacity for change, 6 in the building momentum for change quadrant, and only 3 in the quadrant committed to fostering commitment. The majority of the work that we've identified in our strategic plan lies in the informal and traditional practices of culture management. With a focus on the Elks to modernize and become more innovative in our approach, the lower levels of activity in the 3rd and 4th quadrants is something that we need to be aware of. A lack of focus in these 2 quadrants, however, is something that is uncommon in a number of organizations, not just the Elks. So, where do we go from here? The change model that is being adopted gives us an opportunity to frame the discussion that we will be having in July around building a strategic plan for the 2016-2017 planning cycle. With a better understanding of how we can make our desired culture change stick within the Order, we can focus our discussions on initiatives in 2016 and 17 that not only meet our needs, but we can set goals and objectives for each from each of the quadrants that give us a better chance of successfully integrating these goals into our existing cultural norms. This will allow us to begin to build a stronger outcome for our organizational strategic plan for 2016.